I'm ready, Mayor.
Call the Finance Committee meeting to order, and I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Chair this time, or the Chair, Mr. Westcott.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 1 on our 5:30 agenda this evening is consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk treasurer to sign for, accept, and expend a Department of Justice grant for the city of Russellville for COVID-19 prevention and preparedness expenses and for other purposes. I move for the approval of item number 1.
Motion.
Is that a second by Mr. Brown? Okay. Is there any discussion on item number 1? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2 and 2A. Number 2 is consideration of a resolution authorizing the expenditure of funds from Economic Development Fund Number 2 to upgrade hangar number 1 west of the Russellville Municipal Airport to locate a business at that hangar and for other purposes. 2A is the appropriation from the Economic Development Fund 23 in the amount of $50,000, and I move for the approval of items number 2 and 2A. Okay, second by Mr. Tripp.
Second.
Is there any discussion on items number 2 and 2A? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Items number 3 and 3A, consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk treasurer to enter into an agreement with Time Striping Incorporated to install guardrails on 2 sections of Skyline Drive. And 3A is the appropriation for that in the amount of $14,000. Now, 3 and 3A is for the standard galvanized guardrails.
R.
Well, 3 and 3A is for the galvanized. 4 and 4A, when we get to that, is for the pre-rusted. I move for the approval of items number 3 and 3A. Is there a second?
I'd like to hear something from Ken.
Okay, well, once there's a second, then we can discuss it. Is there a second on item number 3 and 3A? Hearing none, we're going to move past 3 and 3A and go to 4 and 4A. Item number 4 is consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk treasurer to enter into an agreement with Arkansas Fence and Guardrail to install guardrails on 2 sections of Skyline Drive. Number 4A is the appropriation for that in the amount of $19,995. This is for the certain brand of pre-rusted guardrails. What's the will of the committee on items number 4 and 4A?
Motion.
There's a motion from Mr. Brown. Is there a second? Hearing none, we move on to item number 5. Item number 5 is an appropriation from the City General Fund, the sum of $115,850 to be used for the police millage, fire pension. Tell me about that.
What this is effective July 1st, the police pension is going to be paid for by law fee. So for the remainder of the year, we're going to continue to receive millage. We're having to close the police pension bank account, so we're proposing that we put it in the general fund, and then we will transfer those funds to LAFI for the remainder of the year. And in
Okay.
October, we will stop that millage from occurring.
Okay,
So it's a pass-through.
okay. I move for the approval of item number 5. Is there a second? Okay. Is there any discussion on item number 5? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6 and 6A. Number 6 is consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk treasurer to accept and expend a CARES Act grant for anticipated airport budget shortfalls, ... and the appropriation in the amount of $69,000. And I move for the approval of item number 6 and 6A. And this is a pass-through as well, is that correct?
That's correct.
Correct, yeah. Is there a second on 6 and
Second.
6A? Okay. Second by Mr. Brown. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7 is consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk treasurer and finance director to execute a form with Edward Jones to receive a bequest for Oakland Cemetery. And I move for the approval of item number 7. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Mr. Brown. Is there any discussion on item number 7? Why, yes, there is. What is the advantage of rolling that over into an Edward Jones account versus just having that?
We can't have it bequest directly into our accounts. It has to be a move to another account within Edward Jones, then we'll liquidate it.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion on item number 7? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. I'm going to, if you'll permit me, the rest of the committee members, I'm going to move past 8 and 8A very quickly, and we'll do 9, 10, 11 very quickly so that we can come back and spend the remainder of the time on 8 and 8A. Item number 9 is discussion of the 16th Street Railroad crossing submitted by Mr. Westcott. Mr. Duval, can you give the council an update very briefly on the status of the DNR crossing on East 16th?
Yes, sir. We're still scheduled to get the asphalt. I can't give you an exact date because I hadn't been told an exact date, but I'm expecting it soon. We are scheduled with them, and when we get the asphalt, like I said, it would be feathered into the tracks.
Okay. Would you be able to notify the council as soon as you have an expected completion date? Would you notify us?
Yes, I'll
Yeah.
be glad to.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Any other discussion on item number 9? Okay, item number 10 is discussion regarding Hickey Pool, submitted by Councilmember Mark Tripp.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to, in lieu of the time constraint with the other, with 8 and 8A, I'd like to table this to the next meeting, please.
Okay.
As a motion to table.
Okay. I'll second the motion to table item number 9. Is there any discussion on the tabling of item number 9? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Actually, that was number 10. Sorry about that. And for the very same reason, I'd like to go back up to item number 9 and move to table that until next finance meeting. Tabling of number 9. Is there a second for the tabling
Second.
of that? Okay. All those in favor of tabling item number 9 say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11, this was just for discussion only, just to make you aware of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 crossings that need to be repaired besides 16th Street. The projected cost of each one of those crossings, if you look at the concrete insert plus 100 feet of asphalt on either side, you're looking at $41,000 per crossing, equals $328,000 that we're going to have to come up from somewhere to repair all the other crossings to make them equal to the smoothness of 19th Street. I move for the tabling of item number 11. Is there a second on the tabling of item number 11?
Table. Second.
Okay. Is any discussion?
Mr. Westcott, I would like to point out to the council that it is the responsibility of DNR Railroad to repair those crossings. Kenneth's in discussion with them right now to get a date to do that. So the city does have the option to go in and concrete all those options, but we'll be spending taxpayer money on something that DNR is responsible for. So just want to make the council aware of that.
Correct, and we did choose to partner with them, for lack of a better term, on the 16th Street, and it may well be that we choose to do a similar option on the other crossings. All those in favor of tabling item number 11, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Moving back up to items number 8 and 8A. 8 is an ordinance providing for the levy of a replacement 1% sales tax or sales and use tax within the city of Russellville for a period of 5 years. And 8A is the ordinance calling for a special election in the city of Russellville for that tax. So that we can discuss, I move for the approval of items number 8 and 8A. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. If I believe each member of the committee, hopefully every member of the committee, has a copy of a couple of new ordinances that have been provided to us this evening. For the sake of clarity, if you have the copy of the ordinance that was provided in our earlier emails, I will enumerate that ordinance as ordinance number 1, which is a 70% to streets and drainage, 10-10-10 on the others with a 5 years, with a cap, if you will, on the 10-10-10 percentage. On the second ordinance, on page 2 of 4, it's still 70% for streets, road, and drainage, 30% of net collections as follows, and those spots A, B, and C are open for your discretion here this evening on how you'd like to see that filled, if you wanted to see it filled some other percentage besides 10, 10, and 10. And then number 3 is a 70, 10, 10, 10 with no cap. My motion was for the approval of ordinance number 1 that was presented to us earlier in the week at the 70, 10, 10, 10 with the cap at 5 years, which is what this council discussed at the last work session. And so there was a motion already, I believe, by Mr. Brown. Is that correct?
No, I have a motion, I had discussion.
Okay,
I want to talk about it.
okay. Okay, the floor is open for discussion.
Mr. Chairman, can we go back over that just to make sure here, to know which one is which, to make sure we've got them labeled correctly?
Okay, if you look on page 2 of 4, on the original ordinance that we received under Section 3, Section 3B, number 2, says 30% of net collections as follows: $4 million for the fire department vehicles and equipment, police department vehicles and equipment. B is $4 million for capital improvement or operating cost, or both, for the Parks and Recreation Department. C is $4 million for economic development purposes or capital improvement. D, the balance for street, road, and drainage facilities purposes. That is the original one that was presented or emailed to this council earlier in the week. That is the one that I'm designating or enumerating ordinance number 1.
Okay?
Ordinance number 2, if you'll look on page 2 of 4, section 3B2. Under A, B, and C, those amounts have been left blank. Ordinance, or what I'm enumerating, ordinance number 3 then, if you look on page 2 of 4, section 3B2. A, B, and C strictly say 10%. They do not say $4 million.
Okay. I'm with you now. Thank you.
Mrs. Caruth, was that a second from you on the approval of ordinance number 1? Okay, there is a motion and second for the approval of ordinance number 1. Is there any further discussion?
Yes,
Okay, Mr. Brown.
I'm in a quandary here. I don't see when we should be capping these. And I don't think that it's in the best interest of the city to put a cap on these issues. And I don't understand why we would do that.
We were very fortunate to have a member of this council provide us with some information at one of our work sessions regarding the specific needs of the Public Works Department in relation to the repair and upkeep and maintenance and renewal of the city streets citywide. At the 7-year, if this tax had been done at a 7-year, we were already going to be at a shortfall for the other items that were desperately needed that were presented to us from the Public Works Department on that long sheet that they gave us of all the projects that they needed to be done in the next few years. We were already, if I'm not mistaken, at a $7 million shortfall at 7 years. Now, reducing this tax to a 5-year lessens that amount to go towards the critical needs for streets and drainage above and beyond the shortage that was already projected at a 7-year.
I
That
don't
is,
think you can project what's going to happen.
there are certain amounts that are solid, more solid than others. The recommendations from the Public Works Department were for certain projects that they deemed to be more critical than others. And the critical needs that we were presented with on that sheet still showed I believe, $7 million shortfall. My main reason for going with ordinance number 1 is that should there be a greater level of income than anticipated, it puts more money into the streets and drainage that are absolutely critical needs for the well-being of the majority of the citizens of Russellville. Is there any further discussion on ordinance number 1? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Is there any further business for this committee this evening? Hearing none, we're adjourned. and-
Yes, I had business.
All right,
It's
Mr.
a matter
Brown.
of procedural.
Okay.
Mayor, it's a matter of procedure. Mr. Westcott was allowed to call people up and ask them. I had a question.
Oh, sure.
And I'm allowed to do that.
Mhm.
And you sent Mr. Duvall back. So,
Did you have someone else that needs to appear and discuss something?
I had questions. Okay, and you moved on, so.
Okay. Is there anything else for the good of this committee at this time? Hearing none, Mayor, we yield the floor back to you.
Understand Finance Committee meeting is adjourned. We will adjourn the city council meeting at 1800.